So today our topic is measurement of morbidity. Morbidity means any departure, subjective or objective, from a state of physiological well-being. Means a person is not well, मतलब he is sick, he is ill, or maybe he is disabled, can be a disabled person also, right? So unlike mortality means death rate. Morbidity focuses on presence and impact of non-fatal health conditions.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Kavita. Non-fatal health conditions means the person is not fatal, means there is no risk to his life, but he is not well. So according to WHO expert committee on health stats, morbidity
Good
can
evening,
be
ma'am.
good evening everyone. Morbidity can be assessed using the following units like number of sick individuals, number of disease episodes, or duration of illness per episode, and total cost lost, total time lost due to his illness. So these units help quantify both the extent and impact of the disease in the community. So, what are the morbidity rates and ratios? So, morbidity is typically measured through rates and ratios that reflect frequency, duration, and severity. So, frequency means where we see the incidence and prevalence of the disease. Duration means the average duration per case or the disability rate. Severity means how severe the illness is. So we saw morbidity refers to any departure, subjective or objective, from the state of physiological well-being. Means the person is not well, means he is ill or he is sick. That means he is having a disease. The person can also be disabled, right? So according to WHO expert committee, morbidity can be assessed using the following units like the number of sick individuals, number of disease episodes, duration of illness per episode, and total time lost due to the illness. So these units help quantify both the extent and impact of the disease in the community. So what are the morbidity rates and ratios? They are measured through frequency, duration, and severity. So frequency means how often the illness occurs, that we measure through incidence and prevalence rates. Duration means how long the illness lasts, and severity means how serious the illness is. So these are indicators of morbidity, but the most commonly used indicator is incidence and prevalence. So importance of morbidity data. Morbidity is essential for understanding the burden of disease, guiding public health action. So it describes the scope and composition of health problems. Uh, it also provides clinically relevant information that offers rich insights into patient characteristics than the mortality data. It supports basic and clinical research. It supports the etiological investigations, enable the monitoring and evaluation of the disease so that we can track the effectiveness of disease prevention and control programs. So to enhance the utility of morbidity data, the epidemiologists consider disability adjusted metrics, like we have a ratio like disability adjusted life years, which combine both morbidity and mortality into a single burden measure. Self-reported health surveys are there, healthcare utilization data is there, so that we can utilize the morbidity data to its fullest. So the main indicator is incidence. Incidence refers to the rate at which new cases of a disease occur in a defined population over a specified period of time. So it is fundamental measure, particularly useful for tracking acute conditions, identifying emerging health threats, and evaluating the intervention effectiveness. So incidence rate is number of new cases that are coming up in a defined population during a specific period of time. So the multiplier factor is 1000 in this case. So characteristics of this incidence is that new cases are seen, time bound is there, it's a time bound characteristic feature. The population at risk is taken into consideration, and it is also episodic based, right? So we are measuring spells of illness in a particular period of time. So it is a powerful indicator for controlling the disease, for having the research studies where we can study the pathogenesis, distribution of disease, efficiency of preventive therapeutic interventions, etc. So analytical applications means it can detect the changes in host, agent and environmental factors. We can compare the incidence across socioeconomic groups and geographical regions, and we can also evaluate the performance of healthcare systems. Next one is prevalence. Prevalence means total number of existing cases, which means old plus new cases that come into a defined population at a specific period of time. So it provides snapshot of the burden of disease, and it is crucial for understanding the extent and distribution of health problems in a community. So prevalence is the proportion of individuals which have a particular disease at a specific point or during a defined period. So there can be two types of prevalence, means point prevalence and period prevalence. Point prevalence means both cases at a specific point in time, means at a particular date. It can be like particular date, or if we are pinpointing a certain age group, then if any gender like male or female, any occupational people, or if any attribute relevant to other relevant attributes can be there. So we are just pinpointing one factor, that is known as point prevalence. When we consider as period prevalence, then defined time interval is taken, like a particular month or particular time in the year, like if we are taking as a season or a particular month, right? So factors influencing prevalence are disease dynamics and population movements. Now population movements means immigration and immigration things are also occurring, so we have to take care that the population under study should not immigrate or migrate anywhere. And this prevalence can be increased by longer duration of disease, prolongation of life without care or cure, increase in new cases, immigration of cases, out migration of healthy individuals, immigration of susceptible individuals, and improved diagnostic facilities. But it can also be decreased by shorter duration of disease, high case fatality rate, decrease in new cases, in migration of healthy individuals, out migration of cases, and improved cure rate. So incidence and prevalence both are influenced by certain factors. So what is the relationship between prevalence and incidence? So this is the formula, like prevalence is equal to incidence multiply average duration of disease. Okay, so now what is a chronic disease? We all know that if the prevalence is high, it is known as a chronic disease. If the prevalence is low, it is known as the acute disease. The limitation of prevalence data means we cannot distinguish between new and old cases. They are not suitable for studying the causation of a disease, and they can all be affected by diagnostic reporting criteria, health seeking behavior of the community. Uses, again, we can identify high risk population, and the health system planning can be determined, monitored, and evaluated. Now, what is prevalence versus burden of disease? Prevalence gives account of cases, while burden of disease metrics shows disability adjusted life years. Means the life years can be counted as burden of disease metrics, but prevalence is only the count of cases. If we combine prevalence with severity and effect, impact, then it will provide us comprehensive view of population health. So most importantly, sometimes in the exam it comes like what is the difference between incidence and prevalence. So we have a definition here that number of new cases in a population during a specific period of time is incidence, while the number of cases new and existing both is known as prevalence. Incidence measures rate of occurrence of new cases. Prevalence means burden of disease in a population. Time dimension means over a period of time, and prevalence means at a specific point or over a period of time. Then cases, only new cases are included in the incidence, while all cases are there counted under the prevalence. So formula is new cases divided by population at risk multiply by multiplier, that is 1000 in this case incidence, and prevalence we have multiplier as 100. Then what are the typical use cases? Like we are able to study the risks, outbreaks and causes in case of incidents, while we can assess the healthcare burden and resource allocation in case of prevalence. Like incidence sees acute cases while the prevalence sees chronic diseases.